By 10:28 a.m., the world had changed forever. In less than 2 hours, nearly 3,000 people would lose their lives. Iconic skyscrapers would collapse. The Pentagon would burn. An open field in Pennsylvania would become a final battleground. This is the minute-by-minute story of September 11th. Not just the attacks, but the people, the decisions, the chaos, and the heroism that defined one of the darkest days in modern history. Act 1. The morning calm. It began like any other day. Across the East Coast, the weather was perfect. Bright sun, clear skies, and mild temperatures. At Logan Airport in Boston, Newark Liberty in New Jersey, Dulles in Washington, D.C., and other airports, thousands of travelers prepared for morning flights. Among them were 19 men, Al-Qaeda operatives, carefully spread across 4 flights. They had trained for months. They had studied American flight schools. They had lived quietly in U.S. cities, waiting. Their targets were not random. Their plan was coordinated, timed, and devastating. Act 2. The plan unfolds. Flight paths: American Airlines, Flight 11, departed Boston, bound for L.A., crashed into North Tower of World Trade Center at 8:46 a.m. United Airlines Flight 175, departed Boston, bound for L.A., crashed into South Tower at 9:03 a.m. American Airlines Flight 77, departed Dulles, D.C., bound for L.A., crashed into the Pentagon at 9:37 a.m. United Airlines Flight 93, departed Newark, bound for San Francisco, crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania at 10:03 a.m. after passengers fought back. Act 3, the impact, minute by minute. 8:46 a.m. The first impact. Out of nowhere, a Boeing 767 slams into the North Tower of the World Trade Center at over 450 miles per hour. The impact shreds floors 93 through 99. People across Manhattan hear the explosion. Many assume it's an accident, a small plane perhaps. But then, 9:03 a.m., the second impact. Another plane appears in the sky, flying low, banking slightly. United Airlines Flight 175 slams into the South Tower, hitting between floors 77 and 85. This is no accident. America is under attack. News stations broadcast live. Millions watch in horror as flames pour from the towers. Some people trapped above the impact zones begin jumping, choosing to fall rather than burn. 9:37 a.m. The Pentagon attack. In Washington, D.C., a third plane, American Airlines Flight 77, smashes into the west side of the Pentagon. The nation's military headquarters is burning. Panic spreads nationwide. Airports are shut down. All flights are grounded. Airspace is closed. This has never happened before. 9:59 a.m., South Tower collapses. In a thunderous roar, the South Tower crumbles. Concrete turns to dust. Steel buckles. Firefighters, police officers, civilians, all buried beneath the rubble. 20,000 people were still in or around the building. 10:03 a.m., Flight 93 crashes. In the skies over Pennsylvania, passengers of Flight 93 fight back. They've learned about the earlier attacks, likely through phone calls to loved ones. They storm the cockpit. The hijackers crash the plane in a field in Shanksville, killing everyone on board. It never reached its target, believed to be the White House or the Capitol building. These passengers saved countless lives. 10:28 a.m., North Tower collapses. 102 minutes after being hit, the North Tower collapses. Asazagi Turch Sintes, Epule Pora Valik Masud Persek Alat. Lower Manhattan is unrecognizable, choked in ash, filled with screams, sirens, and silence. Act 4, Heroes in the Ash. Amid the devastation, acts of incredible heroism unfold. Firefighters climb stairwells toward the flames while everyone else runs down. Police officers guide people through smoke-filled lobbies. Port Authority workers risk their lives to help strangers escape. Ordinary civilians carry the injured, guide the lost, and comfort the dying. Many first responders never made it out. In total, 343 firefighters, 60 NYPD and Port Authority officers, flight crews, military personnel, civilians, all died trying to save others. Act 5, Aftermath, a shocked nation. By noon, the attacks are over, but the damage is staggering. 2,977 victims killed, over 25,000 injured, more than $10 billion in damages. The U.S. economy reels, the global markets shake. That night, President George W. Bush addresses the nation. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. Across the country, flags are lowered. Vigils are held. Churches, mosques, and synagogues fill with mourners. The world mourns with the U.S. From London to Tokyo, Paris to Rio, candles flicker and tears fall. Act 6, Legacy and Consequences. In the weeks and months that followed, the U.S. invades Afghanistan to destroy the Taliban and kill Osama bin Laden. The Department of Homeland Security is created. The Patriot Act is passed, expanding surveillance powers. Airport security is overhauled. The world of travel changes forever. 9/11 becomes a dividing line in time, before and after. Its legacy includes endless war, civil liberties debates, conspiracy theories, memorials, documentaries, survivors still struggling with trauma and illness. And still, every September 11th, the names are read one by one. September 11th, 2001 wasn't just a tragedy, it was a test of courage, of unity, of humanity. The attackers tried to destroy symbols of America, its wealth, its power, its freedom. But they did not destroy the American spirit. In fire and ash, in loss and grief, there were heroes, there were survivors, and there was hope. After September 11th, President George W. Bush made a promise. We will not tire, we will not falter, and we will not fail. We will find those responsible and bring them to justice. The number one target, Osama bin Laden, the mastermind of the 9/11 attacks and leader of the terrorist group Al-Qaeda. A global manhunt begins. For nearly 10 years, bin Laden evaded capture. U.S. and allied forces searched mountains, caves, and cities across Afghanistan, Pakistan, and beyond. Intelligence agencies intercepted messages, questioned detainees, and traced his couriers. But for years, he vanished, ghost-like, seemingly untouchable, until one clue changed everything. The breakthrough, a courier. In 2010, the CIA identified a trusted courier known by the alias Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti. He had been mentioned by captured al-Qaeda operatives. They tracked him to a mysterious compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, a city just 30 miles from Islamabad, Pakistan's capital. The house was unusual. 18-foot-high walls topped with barbed wire. No phone lines, no internet. Windows covered. Residents burned their trash instead of putting it out. Inside, analysts suspected, was a high-value target. They believed it was Osama bin Laden. Operation Neptune Spear, May 1st, 2011, U.S. time. President Barack Obama authorized the mission after months of planning. The operation, codenamed Neptune Spear, would be carried out by SEAL Team 6, one of the most elite special operations units in the world. Late at night on May 1st, 2011, May 2nd in Pakistan, two stealth Black Hawk helicopters crossed into Pakistani airspace from Afghanistan. 23 Navy SEALs, a military dog named Cairo, and CIA operatives were on board. The raid. Around 1 a.m. local time, the SEALs stormed the compound. One helicopter crash-landed due to heat vortex and tight walls, but no one was hurt. The team proceeded quickly, room to room, floor to floor. Gunfire broke out. The SEALs killed Osama bin Laden's courier, the courier's brother, bin Laden's adult son, and finally, Osama bin Laden himself. Bin Laden was shot twice, once in the chest and once in the head. He had no weapon but reportedly tried to resist. Geronimo Ikea. The confirmation. At 1:51 a.m. DC time, the mission commander radioed in Geronimo Ikea. Enemy killed in action. Osama bin Laden was dead. The SEALs gathered intelligence, computers, hard drives, flash drives, and flew back to Afghanistan, carrying bin Laden's body. Burial at sea. To avoid turning any location into a terrorist shrine, the U.S. decided to bury bin Laden's body at sea. Within 24 hours, his body was washed, wrapped in white cloth according to Islamic custom, and lowered into the North Arabian Sea from the deck of the USS Carl Vinson. Obama announces the news. On the night of May 1, 2011, President Obama addressed the nation. Justice has been done. Spontaneous celebrations broke out across the U.S., in Times Square, in front of the White House, and at Ground Zero in New York. The man behind the worst terrorist attack in American history was finally gone. Final reflection. Osama bin Laden believed he could cripple the United States with fear. But what followed 9/11 was something different. A global fight against terror. A country that mourned, then rebuilt, and finally a reckoning. On that night in Abbottabad, nearly 10 years after September 11, the world saw the closing of one of the darkest chapters in modern history. But the story didn't end. New threats would emerge. New questions would rise. But for those who lived through 9/11, for those who lost loved ones, and for the heroes who answered the call, the mission was never forgotten. And neither will be the day the world changed.